Good evening, everyone. This is Ceren İskit, and you are watching What's New, What's News. Today, we will discuss a very important topic, the importance of LGBTQ plus rights in Turkey. Tonight, we have a distinguished guest whose dedication to human rights activism is truly inspirational. Allow me to introduce Janset Kalan, a transgender woman residing in Ankara. Janset is not only a dedicated activist, but also a accomplished scholar. She graduated from Marmara University in degree in political science and international relations before pursuing further studies at the University of Bologna in Italy, where she specialized in Eastern European studies. Janset's journey as an activist began in 2005 when she became involved in LGBTQ plus movement. Her commitment to advocacy led her to engage in various initiatives aimed at promoting equality and inclusion. For 6 years, Janset supported herself through sex work, demonstrating her resilience and determination in the face of adversity. Since September 2022, Janset has served as general coordinator of the Pink Life LGBTQ plus Solidarity Association, where she works tirelessly to advance the rights of LGBTQ individuals in Turkey. Her efforts extend beyond national borders, and she is recognized as a prominent advocate in the field of international advocacy, particularly in the Western Balkans. Let me invite her to my stage. Hello, Janset.
Hi,
How are
Jen.
you?
I'm trying to be fine. I'm just exhausted because of all the process of banning of our festival. So we are trying to recover from that exhaustion right now, but I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for joining us today. We have a really important topic today because LGBTQ plus individuals have facing such discrimination in Turkey, and this is one of the, I think, important topic to discuss about it, because the discrimination is not only involving psychologically, also during the Pride Month on June. Um, uh, the activists are facing such physical assaults from the security forces, and also many students, many activists prosecuted just because of joining the demonstrations happening in Ankara, Izmir, Istanbul, etc. So, but of course, the main topic is your queer festival. By the way, you're doing a wonderful work over the 12 years, and sometimes I watch a couple of films of Kuirfest and I really enjoyed it. But I want you to provide us some background on the recent band of Kuirfest and its significance for LGBTQ community in Turkey.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you for the beautiful introduction. It was very personal, by the way. I didn't expect you to introduce me in such a way. Thank you. And thank you also for your beautiful words and appreciation of our Queer Film Festival, which has been going on since 2011. And it is currently, and it was also when it started, the only queer film festival in Turkey, which was not only about screening the films produced by LGBTQI plus uh, art, culture and art producers, but also it was a platform for all the individuals, all the queer artists to come together and provide even a better space and time for the culture and arts, queer culture and arts to take place in Turkey. Our banning actually started in 2017. We were back then organizing a queer shorts selections with Goethe Institute in Ankara. And right before the execution of those film screenings, the Ankara governorship banned the events. And later on, a couple of weeks later, the Ankara governorship delivered a general ban, general prohibition of any LGBTI and LGBTT. That was the statement delivered by them. Activities within the larger province of Ankara. So the festival had to move itself, had to regenerate itself through touring Turkey. So we had to move our festival activities to Istanbul as the main portion, but also to visit other cities such as Izmir and Diyarbakır, Ahmet, and Mersin and Denizli, where the LGBTI refugees reside in vast majority. And this year, in 2024, we decided to came back to Ankara, where we were born. And everything was going smoothly, although we were expecting bannings, we were expecting some clashes, some strategic planning were taking place in order to challenge the authorities in case if they come to us with any sort of banning or any sort of obstacles that they could create. So we
By the way, sorry to interrupt, but we have a question from Step Oak 9. Hopefully, I pronounce it correctly. I'm sorry about it, but I think she's asking, was it banned only in Ankara or Istanbul as well? Because I think this is one of the concern of people, whether it is only banned in Ankara or Istanbul, but it's like a general oppression, wasn't it?
That is the thing, actually. This year we wanted to keep it only in Ankara. There are a couple of reasons behind that. The major reason was the lack of resources, of course, because most of the sponsors, most of the grantees decided not to grant this year's Queer Film Festival because they were thinking that it was going to be banned again. And they didn't want to spend their money on LGBTI plus rights because they had different priorities with Turkish government. I don't want to get into detail with that. I don't want to politicize this issue, but it was a very political decision by the grantees. So this year we were only holding it in Ankara. We were not planning any events for Istanbul or other cities until of course, in case we find some sponsorship, some grants from some resources in the future. But that was our plan. We wanted to come back to Ankara, come back to where we were born, and hold all of our activities for the community in Ankara, because they were not enjoying Queer Film Festival since 2017, truly. So this ban only concerns Ankara for the moment.
I see. By the way, you managed to do it even though your festival was banned a couple of days ago, and I think because of the situation, many LGBTQ plus individuals wanted to volunteer for the festival as well. I think you reached out like a peak point for the festival this year. Can you evaluate that one, please?
Yeah, I would like to elaborate first about the ban decision. The order came from
Sure.
the Ankara governorship office.
Mm-hmm.
The copy-paste order, which came from the office of the Ankara governorship, is not actually authorized to deliver such a prohibition. They are not authorized for that. And second of all, they didn't even file the document. So technically, in the legal sense, technically that ban does not exist because it doesn't even have a file number. And third thing is, they didn't specifically mention Pink Life LGBTI plus Solidarity Association, who is the owner of the Pink Life Kuirfest. And it didn't also specifically mention that they were banning the 12th Pink Life Kuirfest. But what they did is that they were banning the venues holding any LGBT and LGBTI and LGBTI plus activities under the name of Kuirfest. So we can say that it was a very arbitrarily and immediate action taken by the Ankara Governorship Office, and
It
they
was a
delivered.
very short notice, wasn't it? It was like half an hour ago of the
Yeah,
festival's opening,
yes,
or
exactly. Our opening event, our opening night is always a closed event. So we invite people specifically, and we have a list of participants because we sent the invitation, and we do not announce it publicly.
Mhm,
So our public events were to start on the 23rd of February. So they
mhm,
delivered this document half an hour before the opening ceremony, which is a closed event. So they couldn't actually ban the closed event
mhm,
because they do not have the Ankara governorship does not have the authority without any uh, court decision to ban any closed event of an association of an
mhm,
NGO. That is the law. So they just delivered it, and we were able to hold our opening ceremony. But for the day after, and the day after, and the day after, because the activities, the public activities, were to take place for the remaining 3 days, we had to re-strategize. So
mhm,
we came to conclusion to hold it virtually, and all the all the queer community in Ankara and also the supporters of the queer community in Ankara benefited from this decision. They had to apply for attending the screenings and the workshops and the panel discussions of the 12 Pink Life Queer Fest, and we had to go through a selection process quickly. We asked for their references, if they have any reference from any LGBTI plus organization, registered or unregistered. We checked their references, and then when we were sure, we sent them the event link.
sounds
Yeah,
really tiring.
it was. And for the volunteers and the staff members, we are a very small team actually. Our whole organization has 7 staff members. We are only able to employ 7 people because of our budget, but we have many volunteers, especially Pink Life Queer Fest. Uh, and all the volunteers were selected before, of course, a month before, and there was the organizing of the volunteers. They knew what to do in case of such ban, and they also knew how to reach out to us in case of any security risks, and
Mhm,
we took all the measures. But we were so lucky that the LGBTI plus community showed a great solidarity, and they all ask for becoming a volunteer for the Queer Film Festival. They also wanted to become a volunteer for the other aspects of the association. They wanted to support us for whatever they can do in their capacity. So I have to thank them for that. It was an
mhm,
amazing solidarity, and we doubled our numbers actually, because for the last 7 years we were not able to hold our film festival here in Ankara properly, and
mhm,
our numbers were, of course, like reducing when we were screening a movie or when we were holding a workshop in regard to culture and arts. And this year, those numbers doubled, even tripled, and
mhm.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I think when you ban something, people are interested more in the subject. So I think it's kind of a positive gain for your organization as well, that you doubled, even tripled, as you said. Um, there is another question. Step Oak 9 is asking. I just saw Crossing by Levan Akın at Berliner, and it was lovely to see Pink Life in the film. Were you involved in it as well? She asks. She or
Okay. Okay. Well, Pink Life Queer Fest team actually supported in their consultancy and advisory capacity to this filmmaking. And they asked for some of our materials and some of the pictures of our office as the
Mhm,
association to create a scenery for the film where the main character comes to the association to get some legal counseling. I didn't see the film, by the way. I just know the plot a little bit, and I know how it went. And some of the actors and actresses, and also people working in the backstage, were already either member of Pink Life, or they had been an ex-staff member, or they had served the steering board. So I can say that yes, we were involved in that film in that way, but it is not our production. We were not directly participating in the filmmaking process, but many of our friends and many of our colleagues, people who showed us solidarity throughout the years, they took place in this film. And I'm looking forward to seeing it actually. Yeah, I hope it will
Well,
come.
yeah, when it comes to here, Turkey, definitely, definitely. Okay, so my next question is about the Turkey's current political climate, because especially all the minor communities, including LGBTQ plus individuals, of course, and activists. And recently, maybe more than 5 years, you are facing such threats, discriminations, so on and so forth. So, what do you see as the broader challenges facing LGBTQ rights activists and organizations in Turkey?
Well, thank you for the question. In regard to discrimination and hate crimes and hate speech, it has been in place, I don't know, for decades, for our region, for our larger region as Middle East. So it is not something new. And our organization, our association started its activities in 2006. And we've been facing all these challenges and problems since our start. So we are very much used to it. However, the level and the methods of implementation of these discriminations and hate crimes has changed. And we have changed also. We have changed also. We use different challenging methods. We use different strategies to make them more visible, to report them to relevant actors, relevant stakeholders. We are able to mobilize our community and our network of NGOs. We have increased our solidarity with uh, other social movements rather than the LGBTI plus movement. So we were able to actually create a new generation of LGBTI plus individuals, LGBTI plus youth who knows their rights and who know how to enjoy and how to request those rights. Back in my day, there were actually no LGBTI plus organizations in place. There were civic initiatives, and they were only in Istanbul and Ankara. And I was born and raised in Adana, so it was impossible for me to even have the information or come across with anyone like me. And I didn't know my rights. I didn't know how to um, ask for my fundamental rights, matching with my personal needs, my specific needs coming from being a trans woman. So I think that this changed. So this change itself created a momentum for our movement, but for also other social movements in Turkey. Everyone is complaining about the Generation Z, but I am very thankful to them because they are very radical. They are not silenced. They are speaking up, even with bad information. They know that they should be proud of who they are, and they demand it. They demand equity, they demand equality, and they demand justice. And this makes our work easier. On the other hand, of course, there is the government and the state and the authorities. They, of course, leveled up the years, uh, creating oppressions, creating obstacles for NGO sector in general, but specifically focusing on LGBTI plus individuals and LGBTI plus organizations. They are currently targeting us and our any actions, any events, any public calls as immoral, indecent, terrorist activities damaging the traditional family values of Turkey. I think this is the paradigm right now for us to handle and strategize and focus on further. When it comes to LGBTI plus organizations in Turkey, back when I first got involved with the movement, we were more outspoken and we
Mm,
were more on the streets. We were more I don't know, we were not actually considering any risks, any security risk, any security measures. We were not even caring about our visibility problems. We didn't have the political measures to create a safe environment for our activism. Right now, there is the space, there is the political knowledge, there are all those policy notes, all those methods, all those strategies. However, uh, we've become more introvert.
mm,
Because there are so many arbitrary auditings coming from the state authorities all the time for any minor thing, we have to deal with administrative and financial issues constantly. We do not even find time to truly, like, holistically execute the political activities that we would like to manage. I think
mm,
this is where we are lacking and where we should change our position and take even further action and be more, I don't know, outspoken, be more out in the streets, and not to fear, you
mhm,
know, be
mhm.
arrested, be detained, because
I
it
see.
passes.
Yeah. So another question from Step: has it gotten worse since the last election? Yeah, May 2023 was really vital for, especially for the minor communities. So I think this question is very important. What is your evaluation for that?
Well, if I go if I go into the details of this, I think this broadcast will last forever. So I would suggest Steph to go into our website. It's www.pembahayat.org. I can write it in the chat, perhaps. I don't know, or you can,
Yeah,
Ceren.
I will use a banner for that as well. So.
Okay. So in our website, we have currently published a report on media monitoring, and
Mhm,
it is a media monitoring report covering the years of 2022 and 2023, and it shows directly how the media representation and visibility of LGBTI plus individuals changed, and how many news are created in regard to targeting us through the elections, uh, with the hate speech. And I think that it creates some sort of a database for our advocacy, because
mhm,
it shows that especially starting from the November 2022 until the March I'm sorry, until the March 2023, where the constitutional amendment took place, those discussions took place. Although it didn't pass yet, it is
mhm,
in the shelves waiting to be discussed again. The number of news targeting especially transgender people, but also the general LGBTI plus community, has increased. And most of those targetings came from the politicians, came from
mhm,
the MPs, and also some major figures who has some entourage, who has some impact area with the larger Turkish communities. So
mhm,
I think that it shows us how it evolved, and it also evolved in such a way that we are facing violence, physical violence, in the streets right after the discourses coming from the politicians. When President Erdogan says something against LGBTI plus rights and LGBTI plus people, we directly face physical violence in the streets, especially trans women, since we are the most visible one. When they see us, or not only trans women, of course, but also femme presenting anyone, femme presenting or uh, people who are not conforming to their normative ways, they are targeting them immediately in the streets when they see.
Mhm. Well, they
And
used it as a campaign against LGBTQ plus individuals during his campaigns, especially. Every city he went, he concluded his campaign speech targeting LGBTQ plus individuals and organizations, and also not only him, of course, all the far right. Um, Political parties and political organizations have been targeting the community directly, and it became very severe now with the life threats as well.
yes, unfortunately, that is the case. And right now, the local elections are coming up, which will be held at the end of March this year. And they started their election campaigns in many areas, in smaller neighborhoods, in the villages. And when they are in the press, in the mainstream media, talking about their election promises, they are immediately uh, talking about LGBTI plus community as people, as a community to be fought against. We
Mhm,
are considered as a huge threat to their power dynamics, which we are actually, because we are challenging their power dynamics. And I am very sure that our community is very smart and strong enough to take them down. I'm
mhm,
that I'm that sure. I'm a very hopeful person, but it has many, of course, backlashes.
mhm,
Any media, mainstream media appearance by the President Erdogan or his allies or his MPs or people who are candidates in this local election, as it happened in the last election, general election last year. Uh, any of them, when they delivered a speech, when they use a discourse against LGBTI plus people, it is creating a backlash against us directly, to our lives, to our existence, to our uh, value as a human being.
mhm, mhm,
That is the problem. That is something that we have to fight against. That is something we have to create a media campaign against. We have to
mhm,
be very smart and strategic to not to use their deliveries as a response point. I wouldn't like to take them as my equal. We
mhm,
are not
mhm,
equal. They have the power. I do not have the power. They have all the privileges. I do not have any privilege. So we are not equal. So I cannot stay in the same stand with them, discussing the same issue. I have to come up with a new way of discussing the issue and deliver it to the general public to inform them better and to let them know who we are actually and what we demand.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, stay safe. Thanks for her comments and good questions. She made our YouTube live today. When we speak about the coming local election, actually, this is another one is now coming. So, what is the expectations of LGBTQ plus activists and individuals' expectation? What their demands from the political parties, and has it been? Has any political party um when they became to get the provinces, did they made the promises that they made for the LGBTQ plus
Mm,
community?
Well, I would like to start with the last question. No, not a single one of them has any specific promise for the benefits of the LGBTI plus people in their province to enjoy the same rights. However, uh, within the party statute of Republican People's Party and also the current Dem, um,
Party.
the- yeah, I wouldn't like to say Kurdish, but pro-Kurdish, pro-libertarian party, and the previous name of that party was the People's Democratic Party. Uh, they have the anti-discrimination statement based on gender identity, sexual orientation in their party statute, and Dem Party has specifically delivered a campaign statement for this local election where they said that they would include LGBTI plus people in their services, in their management of the provinces. So a couple of LGBTI organizations, especially Spot in Istanbul and Uniqueer in Ankara, they are specifically working on political representation and participation, and they have delivered a collective statement of the LGBTI plus movement. Although not all of the organizations, not all of the activists actually joined them or think the same, but in principle, we demand the same things. So they delivered those demands, what they expect from the local administrations, how they should work, how they should include LGBTI plus people in their services, in their promises. And we do not actually ask for any specific treatment. We just want the current existing psychosocial services and fundamental services and the shelter services of the local administrations to be accessible, equally accessible for us. When I face a violence, a domestic violence, and when I need a shelter, if I apply to the local administration, they shouldn't tell me that since my ID says that I'm a male, but I look like a woman and I live my life as a woman and I say that I am a woman. They shouldn't tell me that there is no place specifically created for you. You cannot stay in the women's shelter. Why do I not? Why am I being discriminated in this sense? I need shelter. I face violence. If there's a women's shelter in my city, in my province, I am supposed to be I am supposed to be enjoying that right. I'm supposed to be accessing that right. That is what we demand. Equal treatment, nothing else.
Yeah. I think Istanbul Convention withdrawal made it even worse for the community as well, because they used it while the president was withdrawing Istanbul Convention. He also mentioned LGBTQ plus individuals and organizations and activists as a threat for Istanbul Convention, which is another concern. Must be raise awareness domestically and internationally, I believe. Well, speaking about, well, your invisibility is obvious in Turkey, so, and the recognition is not on even on the table as well. So when LGBTQ individuals concerning about this matter, how do they express themselves freely in Turkey, and um, how has censorship and oppression impacted the ability of it?
Well, that's the thing. There are a very limited number of platforms, online or face to face, where we can come together and express our feelings, express uh, our thinkings, our thoughts, um, express our right to freedom of speech and freedom to assembly. I mean, the
Mhm.
Pride events and the Pride marches have been banned since 2015. We are not
Mhm.
able to uh, demonstrate in the streets and ask for our rights. When we do it, we face with police violence.
Mhm.
Police and the public authorities are supposed to protect people for making it easy for them to use their democratic rights to demonstrate. But in Turkey, it is a different story. They use all those tools to prevent it,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
detain people, they take people from their houses, and all those decisions are arbitrary. They do not have a legal base, and
Mhm.
all the court decisions say the same thing. But at the end of the day, what can you do? Like, you do not have the authority, you do not have the power. Some rich people, some rich white guys have the power, and they enjoy that power so much, they think that anyone who is challenging them is a threat. And yes, we are a threat, but we are not a threat to your existence. We are a threat to your usage, your misusage, your abuse of that power.
Mhm. Mhm.
We are a threat to inequality. We are a threat to injustice. We are a threat to discrimination. We are not a threat to individuals' right to freedom. We are the safeguards. We are the safeguards, guardians of the freedom and
Mhm.
the liberty and the justice and
Mhm.
equality in any country in the world. And when it comes to anti-gender movement, which they organize with the support of the government, with the support of the MPs, with the support of the NGOs, they
Mhm.
created to launder money, actually. They do not do anything else. Uh,
Mhm.
with that movement, we cannot consider only the existence of that movement in Turkey. We have to make a connection with the global impact, the global connection, global networking of that movement, because they are hand in hand.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
not individual movements.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully something will change soon with this political climate. It seems like very challenging for the community. I have another question from Yeliz Akınol. She would like to learn the situation of LGBTQ plus individuals in the prison in Turkey. Do they have the fundamental human rights in the prison? Yeah, we haven't spoken. I mean, there are a lot of uh, subjects to talk. I don't know which one we should take in and put it on the table, but this is another matter, of course. What are the situation in the prisons?
Thank you, Yeliz, for this question. I think Yeliz asked this question specifically because Pink Life has a prison program, which is named Dilekince Clothing Bank, and it
Mhm.
has been going on since November 2014. We take the donations from the people and we deliver them to people in need, but people also in the prison, LGBTI
Mm,
plus people in the prison. And I can clearly say that nobody in Turkey is enjoying their fundamental human rights. And when you
mhm,
are in prison, those rights are immediately erased. They are not considered at all. Nobody cares about what is going on in the prisons. And the human rights violations that we are receiving, but also other organizations are receiving that are working specifically with the prisoners, are troubling, because there are only a limited ways to access the prisons, access the prison system from outside, and they make it even more difficult these days, even to deliver the prisoner some fundamental clothing, underwears, slippers, shoes, winter coats. And those are fundamental needs, and they do not have any support mechanisms from their families, from their outside selected family, and most of them are poor,
mhm,
financially poor. They are not able to support themselves while they are staying in the prison. They are not able to access their medicines. They are not able to access their hormone treatments. They are not able to access their, I don't know, for trans women, it is a fundamental thing to access depilation. And you cannot do anything but pay for it in the canteen of the prison. And if you do not have money in the account that prison appointed to you, you cannot buy it. That is the situation of LGBTI plus people in the prison. It is horrible.
It is horrible. It is horrible indeed. And the poverty is another problem with the LGBTQ plus rights as well, because I read a report from last year's May 17th association, and they made up a really good one, actually. I would highly recommend to read all my audience for it, because their treatment with the healthcare services almost impossible for them. With the basic needs, as you mentioned, rather in the prison or with your normal life, because of the their job situation, their employment is not accessible into Turkey is another problem. So I would highly recommend my audience to go May 17th association to check up that report. It was really important. Well, we are coming to an end now, and thanks for our audience for their wonderful question. If you have any other one, please just drop it now, because we are almost coming to an end. Is there anything you would like to add? I was planning to speak you about LGBTQ plus individuals transition from an atmosphere where the parliamentary candidate was nominated in 2015 in the general election, but it is now completely in silence, and they are not invisible. They cannot represent themselves in the parliamentary as well. So my last question will be that one. How do you evaluate that one? Will it be more maybe visible for the coming elections? Maybe any kind of maybe organizations have a plan for that? What is your views on that?
Okay, before coming to that question, I would like to add something to the previous question came from Yeliz.
Sure.
Yeah, especially transgender people in prison, they are not assigned to our prison system is very much gendered, and whatever your ID card says as your gender, they put you in that prison. I'm a trans woman. If I go to prison, they will put me in a male prison. And since they cannot put me in the male prison together with other prisoners, they keep me in isolation. So that is another aspect of the issue, and it is it is something that we cannot even challenge to the authorities. They do not they do not have that knowledge, that have that sensitivity to work on that issue. The only plan that they came up with 7 years ago was to create a pink prison, and that is even more horrifying, because if they put all the LGBTI plus people in one single prison, it means that they will not be able to have any connections and networks with their, or communication with their families, with their friends, with their selected families, and they can do anything there. Any human rights violations, they can kill someone, they can just poison someone, and you cannot know it, you know.
And you cannot prove it.
Total isolation. So that plan was, luckily, it didn't take place, but that is the thing in their mind. I wanted to mention that. In regard to 2015 elections, yes, there was a candidate for the general elections, but the ballot number, the ballot classification of that candidate was so low, so in the back, it was
Mhm.
impossible for that city, it was impossible for that candidate in that city to be elected. They had
Mhm.
to take all the votes of all the voters in that specific area for that candidate to be elected. So it didn't mean anything actually. It was not even a strategic move. They didn't publicize about it. They didn't use that candidate in the campaigns enough. They didn't involve the LGBTI plus communities and the LGBTI plus movements demands in all of their campaigns in any province that they were running. So
Mhm.
I think that the situation was not that different. The only difference was LGBTI plus activists were very much involved with the political life, and they were very much able to change the policies, change the decision making processes of some minor political parties.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
current situation, we are not even being talked about. They say even those minor parties where we worked before, where they showed candidate before, they are saying that we are reducing their number of voters. We are affecting the number of votes that they are
Why?
receiving. Although the numbers show in 2015 that our involvement, our open involvement, and their open campaign, including LGBTI plus people, create a major momentum for them to get even more votes, 20-30% more votes.
Mhm.
And
And
today,
do they give any reason for that?
no, they are just being conservative. The only reason is that they do not base their argument on the data provided. They do not base their argument based on the reality. They do not even base their argument uh, from their own supporters within the political party. There are some individuals in the political party, some MPs, and some public figures who has a lot of money and who are conservative. They dictate it and they implement it.
I see.
That is my elaboration.
That's a lot of work to do, especially for your community and the other minors, of course, as well in Turkey, with their existence, with their recognition, so on and so forth. Is there anything you would like to end before we close?
No, not really. It has been a very long broadcast.
Uh, well, Janset, thank you very much for coming today and joining me. We had a very, your insights were really important, I think, for your community and the others in Turkey. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you
And
for
hope,
inviting. It was a lovely broadcast. Thank you.
thank you so much, and hopefully, I will see you soon.
Hopefully. Ciao.
Ciao.
I'm leaving the studio.
Bye. Yes, we talked about the LGBTQ plus rights today. How is it challenging in Turkey? This is one of the main campaign subject of the far right political parties involving the ruling party. Actually, they're using as a campaign and targeting the community, and also with the Kuirfest, as we have seen, even though there isn't any official decision with the from coming from the court, but they tried to ban the festival again, which is related to arts and cultures. But well, this is the situation in Turkey. We came to an end today, and on Thursday at 8 p.m. I will come back come back again, and we will discuss another important topic. We will follow closely the Turkey's agenda. Till then, take care. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye.